So I'm going to elaborate on how to get the jack when you start. Use your hip, plan view, hip, wall plates, common, ridge. Here's this common is in the middle. So when we want to go from the middle of this entire, from out to out, this one is not shown, but out to out, and we're going to go, back half the distance and then split this one and go from there. Once we get to the last layout, where between where we get to start making jacks, you don't have a full 24 or 16 inch spacing. So I've explained this in other videos, but if you were to draw the shoulder and you were to go all the way out with it, I need to get my little pencil so I can point better. This dotted line represents a theoretical position of this hip as it comes out. And it's going to make this is going to be 7/16 right here. All right. So now that we got that, we know that, say this was 160 inches from this point to this point. Well, I don't know it off the top of my head, but whatever your last 16-inch layout, it might be 180, or the one prior to that. Well, okay, let me back up from there. This is gonna, if it's a layout point, it's gonna be on a multiple of 16 or 24. So we could just say 12 feet, 14 feet, we'll do that. And so I don't know what the inches are, but if we have, the measurement to here is 12 feet, 6 inches to this, plus that's including the 7/16. That's the point where we turn and start going down. So that means that this 6 inches right here, we need to figure out the diagonal. The run is 6 inches. We need to figure out what the diagonal is. And that, or the rise. You could do either one. You could do the rise or the diagonal. It's going to be the same thing. And why are we doing that? It's because if we get the full height, basically what you'll be doing is you'll be getting the long point of the theoretical jack. And when we have that, all we have to do is subtract that rise. You can't do it with the height of with just the common rafter length. You can't. You would think you would be able to, but it won't work. So if you establish this new height, then you're able to subtract all the way down for these. And so how are you going to get that triangle? And using our rise and run, when we do everybody knows when you do a rafter, say you get, your normal rafter would be, say you got 6 and 12, right? And then you'd have, I think it's 13. I think that one's 13. I'm not 100%, but just go with me on that. So then this length right here, or this proportion, becomes 13. So then that length would get plugged in back in as the rise. So then you'd have kind of a new triangle here where this 13 goes for the rise, and then the run stays the same. And that's what this is, because your run out here would be 12, and the rise would be this number. And then from there, that's just the proportion. And once you have that, of course you can, Pythagoras could give you the diagonal, but we don't even need that, because if we have this proportion here, then all we're doing is figuring out the 6 inches goes to the bottom. Put the 6 down here, and then you're going to get a rise, whatever that is. So it would be like 13 into 12 divided and multiply by 6. And then that's going to give you your new height up there. So I guess if I could try to do it real fast just to play with some numbers. Got my other calculator I'm pulling out. Try to get it cranked up really quickly. If I can get it going fast enough. Okay, here goes. So if we have 13 divided by 12, it gets 1.0833, repeating threes. So then we'll multiply that times 6, and it gives 6.5. So you can kind of look at these numbers, you could tell. Like the 13 is a little bigger, so 6.5 is a little bigger than 6, just slightly bigger. And that's what you kind of, is a sanity check, just to make sure our numbers are kind of in sync there. So this would be 6'5" here. And then from there, you would drop off, you know, whatever it is. Now you have to do another one to figure out what's your, well, okay, so this one, the 6.5, we're obviously doing this in round numbers, but the 6.5 over 6, we'd have to figure out what those inches are. This is all kind of feet or whatever. But if that's 6 inches, you got 6.5 inches. But now we got to add it to whatever the inches are here, which wouldn't be 13. We're just using that to establish ratios. Well, once you add it, now you can subtract off the entire rise. And that's just going to give you the next one and then the next one down subsequently. And I don't know if I posted my other video, the initial video, but I would just say I might just not even post that one because this is a little better explanation. But if I'm gonna hook here and lay my 16-inch spacings out, of course I hook it at the bottom and lay that one out, and then you lay out your hip. That's a total. I might have a video on that too. But chances are you're going to miss this one as a layout at all. You're not even going to put in this common. So then the next question is, well, what happens if I'm not going to use that common? This is a double cheat cut right here. So this would become a single cheat cut. And this common just goes away. A lot of the newer framing, they don't even, they don't do this. But it's just going to run through like that. Now, I've seen guys do this, but what they do is they still put this common in here. I wouldn't do that. I would, from this point, this right here is going to be 1/2 of the diagonal distance back. You're going to go back and mark that. Okay? Now from this point to that point is going to be this, like if I took the ridge and flipped it over this way, that point is going to be cut on the seat cut pitch. So it's going to be whatever the pitch is, say it's a 6 pitch, it'll be a 6 seat. So instead of cutting it on the common, you cut it on the seat. That little bit of distance, because if you don't, it's going to stick up past the roof plane here. What does that do? It just allows you to set this. You could set this hip right here with jacks. Pre-nail your jacks in on layout here at the bottom, and then go ahead and lift up your hip. Nail your jacks on. It's going to sag a little bit, but it's kind of going to brace in place. It's enough for you to do what you got to do. So you nail it down here, and it's going to hook on the bottom, and the hip's going to want to sag downward. But the jack here and a jack here will, won't allow it to completely fall. Then we'll put this one in on this side, and once you have those two, you can lift the hip up and stick that in there to hold until you get. I would get the other hip set, and then come back and actually put these in. Get both of those hips on the other side, and then put the ridge in. But that allows you to do this. And I say this is probably done with a smaller or like a medium or normal size house, 30-foot span, something like that. You're not going to do it with a gable that's too much bigger than that. I wouldn't try this with LVLs. If you got a job that big, you're probably working with a crew anyway. But anyway, that's how you would do it. And you can also use the same method to go from here down if you're going to do the commons. There's nothing wrong with that.